Futures trading involves substantial initial deposit. All content is for educational purposes. Futures trading involves substantial risk and is highly leveraged. Losses can exceed your initial deposit. All content is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. We are not affiliated with Bookmap or any other trading vendor. Past performance is not indicative of future results.
All right. Good morning, good day, good afternoon. It currently is Friday, December 12th. It is market close and currently 15:34 Eastern time right now. And I just wanted to go quickly over how I use SpotGamma in conjunction with auction theory, auction levels. Let me go to my book map. Now, kind of a lot going on here. The Just say, for instance, here, I'll just bring all the book map charts here. And this is just so I can basically demonstrate my setup here. And this has nothing to do, this has only a little bit to do with the SpotGamma stuff. So I just want to show you real quick. That way you can get an idea. Here's ES bookmap data. Here's the market pulse, so you can see icebergs going off. You can see the blue lines right here, the iceberg lines. You can see this zone here that I noted right here. This is a sweep. That's a sweep zone, okay? And these sweep zones sometimes can align with my chart right here, and I mean often do, should I say? Often align with my levels, auction levels, SpotGamma levels, and use it as a target. Actually, the sweep zone here. The trade was this trade here, and you can see volatility trigger right here. Okay, in the SpotGamma levels. You can see the VHVN there. You can see IB low there. Okay. Now, composite. Yeah, composite low volume node. So I need to clean up my higher time frame chart a little bit more. And my intermediate time frame chart, I'm currently in process of cleaning up right now. With this video, I'm kind of doing it. The whole point of what I'm trying to actually say right now is, let me continue what I was saying. So this is the ES chart, and this is the Trader Map Pro chart. And I zoom out so you can see more of what's going on in the ES, and you can see the liquidity levels as well. And you can see the zoomed in view here of the minutia, like the icebergs, the stops, the sweeps, and the levels as well, more zoomed in, delta. You see similar stuff right here as well, except more zoomed out view for targeting, etc. Here you see NQ, and you see icebergs on NQ as well, and you see the NQ Trader Map Pro chart, so you get to see the liquidity levels on the NQ, and NQ's been thin. NQ's been like crazy thin, so it's been quite difficult to use NQ as a second indicator or confluence with ES, but ES has had pretty decent liquidity moves here. As you can see, all this liquidity came in, and right here at this break of the trend line and the pull back to the VWAP area short, and it just took all of that liquidity on this move down, and you didn't quite get the longs coming in right here. The longs didn't really step up even after grabbing all this demand liquidity. Grabbed all that demand liquidity, and they couldn't even push up even with, they came into this trend line resistance right here. They kind of tried, but they couldn't do it. And I was trying myself with these longs right here, based off of this trend line break. Didn't happen. You had a major trend line right here still that was holding this resistance, and the buyers just didn't want it. And this is all taking place below this volatility trigger here. Okay, important level on the SpotGamma. And this chart here, you see the volatility trigger. I'm going to take this to my smaller screen so you can see it a little bit better. Now we have been, just an FYI, we have been in this cluster, like in this zone, for a couple weeks, almost 3 weeks or something like that, since I just show you right here, November 26th, where we pushed up and then we started consolidating in this zone. Okay, now this is intermediate time frame. You can see that we started compressing and we started releasing a little bit, and then we got the FOMC, and then we started releasing even more. And you can see this high volume cluster right here, this blue. Now we're looking at gamma levels right here, okay? Here on the left side. So this is SPX, and this white line is the volatility trigger, all right? And now here's the thing with the spot gamma levels, options levels. This is the thing about it. The auction levels come first. The volume profile comes first. Like, these things tell you what's happening in real time, and then you kind of generate somewhat of a narrative off of it. You can see aggressors off of it. You don't really know, exactly where the gamma levels are going to start positioning, but I'll just give you an example. Right here where my mouse is, you see these aggressive sellers came in, and we sold hard right here in the ETH on Wednesday. It sold off hard, and this is an area where you need to watch where those sellers were. We want to see if the market could come back up and test them, and what's the response when we come up and test them, if we can test them at all. If we can't test them at all, then that's telling you the market's just weak, right? But if we can come up and test them, then that's telling you, like, hey, the market might not be that weak. It might, like, we might still have some buyers in here wanting to test previous areas, and that's actually what happened yesterday. You can see, right here we tested those sellers, where the sellers came in and sold aggressively in the ETH, tested it, and then the VWAP held right there, and then created a lot of volatility, and then it created this push up, and buyers came in. We closed strong. We had a strong close yesterday. Okay, and then we had a tight ETH range balance right here. Okay, and then we open right here today. Okay. Now here's what happened. We pull our volatility trigger levels, we pull our zero gamma, and we pull our risk pivot. Okay. We pull these levels from the founder's note, from the SpotGamma dashboard, and then we get this map for the day. Okay, you can see the volatility trigger here. If we look at today, we couldn't even test ETH VPOC. We only tested SPX 6900, which was short-term resistance right there. We tested it, held as resistance. We couldn't even test ETH VPOC, and then we sold off. And we sold off pretty hard. And you remember that zone that I was talking about from the ETH from yesterday? where the sellers were at, well, that's the SPY volatility trigger. Okay, that's the ETF SPY. And you can see once we broke the opening range, tested it from below, sold off. We sold off through the SPY volatility trigger, which was also that seller zone that we were looking at before. And we just kept selling and selling and selling until we hit the volatility trigger right there. Found a small move, found a small bounce, but your bias is what? Probably bearish, right? And so if you're anticipating a break of this volatility trigger, and if it does break it, then you can anticipate expansion. And generally on an intermediate time frame, if we're above the volatility trigger, then we anticipate more balanced moves, less range, less volatility. If we're below the volatility trigger, then we anticipate more volatility. We anticipate expansion and then we anticipate a move down into like some levels, right? Into some levels. Now, what happened is we actually got to move down into 0 gamma level right here. Okay, and then from here we bounced up and we tested the volatility trigger from below, which also had confluence with the IB low and the VWAP and the full session VWAP. And then boom, it gets sold off down into the micro composite VPOC and then back into the 0 gamma. And here's another key. Where are we closing? At the micro composite VPOC. Where is that? It's below the volatility trigger. So what am I anticipating? I'm anticipating when Sunday opens that we're probably going to see some selling. And we're going to see some selling. We're going to see potential to take this 0 gamma level out. Potential to see us taking this little node right here and the risk pivot. Okay, the risk pivot is right here still, 67.93. We can see this selling off. It's like a slow bleed or something like that into, and who knows what's going to happen, right? Into the open. But I would not be surprised if we see this move back down through 0 gamma, testing the risk pivot, breaking the RTH low from today. Okay. Now, here's the thing. These gamma levels come from auction levels. Okay. It does look nice in that the risk pivots right here at this low volume node. And it does look nice that, you know, this 0 gamma level here is just the lower end of this micro composite distribution here, and that the volatility trigger is in the middle of it. But the thing is that these are all auction levels, not to mention the high from yesterday with this massive sell delta is also a combo level, major resistance level, and today's SpotGamma upper daily expected move level. Thing is that this was a previous single. I'll overlay my auction levels. Okay, here's the auction levels. Now these are overlaid on top of the SpotGamma levels. The thing is the auction levels come first, and then options come rushing in to support, resistance. They put they hedge around the auction levels, and then they kind of give confluence to or confirmation to the auction levels that I've determined are important, like those where those sellers came in, right? Where those sellers came in, I put a red zone there. You see what I marked it? 1 second. Aggressive sellers, right there. That's where those aggressive sellers came in from yesterday's ETH. And how about that? We have the SPY volatility trigger right there as well. Not to mention that we also have aggressive sellers there. Again, this is what you call supply. So this is an important area. Okay. There were aggressive buyers here that were cleaned in the past. Now, look how many times we wicked it. Once, twice, on I think that was FOMC Wednesday, yep. And we destroyed it yesterday and cleaned this previous single. So we cleaned up some aggressive sellers. And these were old aggressive buyers, right? And if there were old aggressive buyers there at one point, this was back in like late October. And I can pull up the higher time frame chart just so we can see what I'm talking about here. Yeah, you can see without me even having to expand this. In this cluster right here, late October, where did we wick? Right there. See this node on the higher time frame? This node, this high volume node, this is where aggressive buyers were at one point. And look how many times like buyers just can't. Buyers just keep exiting. Give me a second. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so the auction narrative comes first. And those aggressive buyers that were here from this day, look, see, we broke out of this distribution. We had the strong sell day right here, broke out of this distribution in a gap up. We gapped up again, and then you still get these strong sellers right here. And you can see them on this delta right here, on this delta map. Look at this large buying right there on the delta. They're taking profit. Every time price comes up, they're taking profit. He sold off from it. They attempt to come up. They can't even get up to it. They barely cleared this microcomposite VPOC before they sold off again. It was a big sell off. And then we come back up. And now we're squeezing again, similar to this move up here. These gaps up, these gaps up, these gap, I can't even say it. And then this consolidation now, and then we're seeing that same thing. We're seeing the buyers come up and selling off, come up and taking profit again today. And we're closing below the volatility trigger today. So this is let me write down the date. It was 10/27. So important, right? And you see that this is auction levels taking place here. Before the options levels even really kick in, they just add confluence after the fact. This blue zone here is just a blue zone that was like a little high volume node here, okay? And there's another blue zone here, which is another high volume node here as well. And this high volume node zone here aligns with the still slightly above the volatility trigger, but you can see we came up into it, into the zone. So these auction levels are really kind of come first. And you can see how many times we wicked this zone, this blue zone, and it kind of turns into this volatility trigger here, right? See the importance of this level here? And it just so happened to also have confluence with the SpotGamma lower daily expected move as well. Now this zone here came off of this intermediate time frame chart, which looks like, you know, options levels decided to hedge around and holding up the market currently. We sold off from here, and we were anticipating on this move come back and retrace into here. It didn't. It was so weak that we couldn't even reach it. And then it happened again. This was the initial target, which means that what? All these buyers here are weak. They're going to take this lower. All these buyers here and get up to there, still weak. They sell it off. They take it lower. Now all these sellers that were here, boom, we popped above them, like ripped above them. And now those sellers are holding up the market. Okay. But at this point, it doesn't look like they're going to be holding it up much longer. We're closing weak at this point. And these targets here were based off fibs. And you can see here, this where these buyers were here at one point, the strong buying. Well, we ripped above them finally. They held a support and they supported the market to this upside move. This is all like auction stuff going on here. And if you can create your auction out of here, the SpotGamma just adds confluence to your narration. Here's another zone that's going to be acting as support. You can see that this risk pivot is actually right there in the middle of it, low volume node. That's a micro composite VPOC, large buy delta, and there's also a gap there. This is the high of that gap. Here's the settlement of that gap. And then the singles at the low end of it, at the bottom end of it. Actually, this is where the gap to settle is at. And even lower than that, depending on how far we go, since we're breaking the risk pivot on the SpotGamma, you know, those levels can hold up. But if they don't hold up and you want to clean these buyers up, these buyers here in this zone where the risk pivot is at, then you have this pivot supply demand zone here. You have more singles, and this aligns with what? A SpotGamma support zone and SpotGamma lower weekly expected move as well. So that's 67.50 right there. And oops, we weren't even looking at the right screen. Right here, sorry about that. So this is risk pivot right here in the middle of this second red zone. If we break the 0 gamma level, which is likely since we're closing below the volatility trigger, break this 0 gamma level, break this risk pivot level. That's going to be important because once we break it, we can see a sweep. We can see a flush down into this pink zone. All these singles here still, buyers, aggressive buyers, clean them up. Maybe even go to this yellow zone or this pink zone here. That's 6,700. Okay. And if you look at the higher time frame, 6,700 is going to put us right at the bottom of that take-on sin. So if you get this profit taking here, all the way down to the bottom of that, that could be a buy up to test these naked volume point of control into the end of the year, potentially. Now you don't know, but you don't know what's going to happen. You just know that there's a lot of aggressive buyers down here that might need to be cleaned up. Now, how far it goes, who knows? But we do know we're closing below the volatility trigger. The tide at this point could be turning. Okay. We'll see what it holds going forward. We're watching the break of this risk pivot level and the zero gamma level, and we'll see what happens on Sunday. Hope y'all have a great weekend, and hopefully that gives you a little bit. Actually, I just want to show you real quick as well. I take the levels, and they automatically get imported into this sheet here, this Google sheet, and then it goes out to the book map, goes out to the Sierra chart. It could go out on CSV and whatever you want, probably to whatever platform that you use. So you export these levels out however you want. Okay. Then what I do is I take the SpotGamma AM founders note, and I can even take the PM founders note. I can put them in ChatGPT, and I can have it run an overnight risk assessment for me, and it can give me the market regime for the day, and it can tell me, it can spit out key levels that were in the SpotGamma narrative, spits them out in this code, and I put that in here, and it generates short-term support levels, major support levels, our risk pivot level, and then also sub levels like support and resistance levels as well. These are kind of adding to those, why it kind of looks like this. But you can see, like I said, our high of the day wasn't the ETH VPOC. It wasn't yesterday's VPOC. It was the short-term resistance level. So they can help. They provide a narrative. If you can't break that short-term resistance level and you can't test yesterday's naked volume or the ETH VPOC, what is that telling you? And you break this level, this SPY volatility trigger, which also was a level of supply. Okay, yeah, I think you're following what I'm trying to say. It provides the narrative, and then the ChatGPT kind of helps you with like scenarios, but really it gives you the risk sentiment. So it gives you the regime. Okay, it gives you the market regime that we're in. It gives you the volatility that we're in. And if it's high volatility, then you want to be cautious. If we're below the volatility trigger, or if we're below the volatility trigger and there's high volatility, you be more cautious. And this Chat GPT here, sorry, I was showing it again. This is what I was showing here. You throw them in Chat GPT, the founders notes, and I also add the SPX open. I add the overnight inventory, the profile from yesterday, the profile from the overnight session. I add the SPX open, the QQQ open. I add the relative volume indicator, so relative metrics, which is the relative volume. So we have high relative volatility or volume in the overnight session, then that might tell you that there's high relative volume going to be going into the when we have cash open. So be cautious, type of thing. And you also have the range, the relative range. I also put that in there as well. Tight range. We only had 50% range of what our normal ETH range is over the past 20 days. So pretty tight range in the overnight session. And what's the risk sentiment? What's the risk posture? It was mild risk on coming into today. And if you have this bullish sentiment coming into today, but the market can't really take it higher, and it's like showing rejection of these levels here, then you're flipping this bias. You're basically flipping the bias from a bullish sentiment into a bearish sentiment, anticipating a potential test of volatility trigger. If you break the volatility trigger, depending on how we break it, you can anticipate lower levels to be tested at that point. And this kind of helps with stuff like that. I have the SPX QQQ divergence monitor here. There wasn't really that much divergence. No strong divergence signaled in the note, but do note, watch single stock call implied volatilities, they are high. That can constrain individual names even if industries push higher. So, that means they're going to be taking profits. Then we have a macro calendar that it pulls a calendar from the previous 10 days and the next 10 days based off of the founder's note. I've asked it to pull from the web, but I don't think it's pulling from the web. So we had FOMC. I don't think that's the right date though. I'll have to fix that. CPI prints on the 8th. Yesterday, equity strength into the close. So I'll have to modify this stuff here. But there's a calendar as well to help with engage volatility sentiment. And RTH trading playbook for the day as well, kind of like how FT71 does it. But these ranges are so expanded, can't really make much day trades off of it. So I really don't use ChatGPT except to kind of get me these levels, to extract the levels from the founder's note so I can put them in my chart on Sierra chart. I do that for ES and I do that for QQQ as well. So I can kind of see where our support and resistance levels might be for the day. Using ChatGPT to trade is just, it's not what you would hope it would be. This way you create your own narrative. I'm telling you right now, I told you, and maybe you'll learn a new thing by watching this, that this here is like a aggressive sellers came in, right? We want to see, can the market come up and test it? And if it does come up, can it test it? If it doesn't test it, then what does that tell you? It tells you sellers are in control, right? And we did break above it. We swept, picked stops, right? Cleaned weak hands right here. And then we went back down below it today pretty aggressively. And this supply zone that was here is going to remain here. So that's an important level. So I use that level and I draw this zone. And I'm going to keep that zone there. Now these zones aren't like as important because these are just like little high volume nodes. They add some type of confluence though when they line up though with your with the options levels. But your narrative, create your own narrative. Don't let ChatGPT like kind of create the narrative for you. It might tell you something helpful though, which it did in the playbook, but by this time it's already kind of too late. Let me show you. Invalidation / pivots. Daily invalidation is a clean sustained break and close below 6,700. A bearish scenario fails pivot 6,700, 6,800. My bad. Which Actually, it is the invalidation. Daily invalidation. Okay, so now it's talking the higher time frame, like intermediate time frame. Daily invalidation. Clean and sustained break and close below 6,700 has not happened yet. For bearish pivot. Bullish invalidation is decisive failure to hold 68.45, which is so what it's saying is a bullish invalidation is decisive if we fail to hold below the volatility trigger. If we fail to hold above the volatility trigger. That's this white line. We broke it, we pulled up to it, and we rejected it. And now we're closing below it on multiple attempts, okay? That is telling me that we have a bullish invalidation on the higher time frame. It can help. ChatGPT can help, but you got to read through all this, and you have to decide what's important and what's not. So, I mean, out of all that, and see, this wasn't even actionable in the daily, in the intraday. This is only actionable right now in the intermediate time frame. This is telling me that after today, we could be seeing a move down to these other levels that we previously talked about. Oops. Right there. All these levels here. Going all the way down to 6,700 and cleaning up weak. I'm sorry, not weak. Cleaning up aggressive buyers. Okay. So we'll stop it here. Hopefully that helps out. I know it's a bit convoluted. Just how the narration and the market works. In all honesty. Pulling the levels, extracting them. SpotGamma basically is a second hand, the helping hand to the auction narrative. And the truth is most people don't even know how to read the auction narrative. Most people can't read the higher. They can try to read it. They understand that there are levels, but they don't really know. They can't really create a narrative off of it. And I'm telling you, this right here is it's like the tip of the year for you. Whoever's listening, it's like the tip of the year. If you identify where sellers came in, it's like supply and demand. You identify where sellers came in, and you draw a level around it, and see if it aligns with the SpotGamma levels as a second helping hand. Well, let me start over. You see where the sellers came in, and you create a narrative off of that, and you ask, can the market reach up to this level? Can it? And if it can, then what? Depending on what happens. If it can't reaches it, then what is that telling me? So we basically stop picked it, and then we broke below it again. So, and then we also have a gamma zone there too. So what does that tell you? Tip of the year is that supply and demand. Where did aggressive sellers come in? Where are aggressive buyers? Those are our targets now that we see that the market's weak. Okay, and when our narrative lines up with these SpotGamma levels, then you have something powerful. Then all you need at that point is a setup. And if your setup aligns with the levels, then it's just like a 1-2-3 punch. And you're not trading for ticks, you're trading for points. And you're trading for ranges at that point. You're trading for big moves. You could be trading zone to zone. And at this point, now we have an intermediate time frame narrative right now. So you could be taking swing positions off of this, aiming for 6,700, which is 150 points down from where we're at, right? Kind of like 150 points down, 125 points down from where we're at right now. The issue is that this thing's these moves are gonna be happening in the ETH, which show you could be trading futures. if you don't already have a short position on. It's created an intermediate time frame scenario for me and a higher time frame scenario for me, considering if we do get a Santa rally, end of year rally, we can see what you would say is a push down into these levels, and maybe a move back up to clean that naked volume point of control up here. So push down into this area here potentially, and to move back up, potentially back up to this naked volume point of control. So these are just things to consider. I don't want to take up any more time. Just wanted to show you how I use SpotGamma in confluence with the auction narrative on the intermediate time frame and the higher time frame. Hopefully that helps. Have a great weekend, and we'll see what happens on the Sunday opening print, and go from there. Might be a fun ETH. Y'all have a great weekend. I'll talk to you on Monday.